Well, meanwhile, the World Wide Web is 30 years old today. Born out of a need to efficiently store information at the world's largest physics lab, CERN, it went public a few years later and on to impact pretty much all of our lives, transforming research, how we look, share and store data. Its inventor, Berners-Lee, said last week that he's now on a mission to actually fix it. Fix, that is, the problems of online abuse, misinformation and data protection.
30 years ago, I submitted a vague but exciting proposal for a free, open, permissionless space for all of humanity to share knowledge and ideas. Today, half the world's population is still unconnected, and those of us who are online feel that our rights and freedoms are not fully protected and respected.
Well, 3 decades of the World Wide Web after its creation, we're joined by a professor in Internet Studies and Digital Humanities at Aarhus University in Denmark, a man specialised in the study of archiving even web materials, Mr. Niels Brügger. Thanks so much for your time. Can I start firstly by asking you, I mean, today we're marking the 30th anniversary of the World Wide Web, not of the Internet. Isn't that right? I mean, explain to us the difference there.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. The internet has a longer history. It goes back some 50 years ago. It started in the late 1960s. So the internet is the connecting of computer networks. So the internet is not only connecting computers; it's actually connecting networks. And it started, as I mentioned, in the late 1960s. But then, in the beginning or the late 1980s, Berners-Lee came up with this proposal about the World Wide Web. And the World Wide Web is a specific application running on top of the internet. So the internet has a longer history, and the web is only 30 years old.
And tell us, you know, we heard him explaining there, he said it started with just a vague, exciting proposal. It sounded like really a proposal for a simple storage solution within that physics lab of CERN. Can you tell us a bit more of how it all began?
Yes, it began with Tim Berners-Lee. He's actually a computer scientist. He was not hired in to make the World Wide Web. He was hired in to do something else. But then he came up with this idea because he could see that at CERN they had a lot of problems with finding the information, connecting the right information to the right information. And he then looked a little bit back to what was called hypertext theory. That's the theories that were in the literary societies about connecting text to text, which is called hypertext. So he said, okay, could we take the best from hypertext and connect it to worldwide computer systems? So he actually did that. And one of the main features is what we actually don't realize anymore, but the hyperlink, the thing that we click on a word and then we're just sent to another text. That was absolutely new at the time. To do that so that you can actually click any piece of text on any computer and be taken to any piece of text on any computer anywhere in the world.
Indeed.
And that was absolutely new at the time. You had to explain it to people, actually.
Indeed, that web idea, interconnecting us all. Originally, though, I believe the idea was to get people from different backgrounds, different information, all coming together to share information. However, I know that even the inventor himself, he complains today that the problem now is that people get looped into hearing and seeing only the same opinions as their own. Is that right?
It's a big question. I don't know if it's right, but at least it's that we try to tell each other that it is like this. But I'm not quite sure that it is, because the web is really, really big, and basically we don't know what is on all of the web. So it's still big, and it's still very differentiated. But of course, many people use specific parts of the web. This year or these years, it's basically what is called social media that is used a lot. And one of the things that maybe make us feel that we see the same, all of us, is the algorithms. So that's the algorithms, the rules that filter the news for us so that we see what we probably would like to see. But the algorithms were not part of the web when it was invented. They were basically invented, well, after Google came. So the algorithms were not part of the original web.
Okay, now one thing that we are all obsessed with today, and which was actually mentioned in that original proposal, which was called information management, it's the question of data security. And, you know, again, that physicist, the British inventor, said he wasn't taking that into account because he was making it for his own company. But, you know, it sounds like the World Wide Web was nearly always a step behind when it came to that question.
Yeah, in a way, it's going back and forth because it's like a cat and mouse play, you could say. The security issue has been there, and then it was solved, and then another type of security issue came up, and then that was solved, and so it continues. So, and I don't think we'll ever get rid of that, because it's part of any technology that at some point it tips to its kind of the contrary of what it was in the beginning, and then we solve that problem, then it goes back and forth like that. So I think it is here to stay, that problem, basically.
Yes, but overall, I guess we'll have to accept it with that massive resource, resource that the World Wide Web has offered to us across the world, sharing that information. And Mr. Niels Brügger, we're going to have to leave it there, but thanks so much for joining us live to give us your insight into the history and the possibilities of the World Wide Web as it marks its 30th birthday. Quick reminder for you now at home of our top stories this hour. Celebrations on the streets of Algeria, but also plans to continue the protests. President Abdelaziz Bouteflika says he will not run for a fifth term in office. He has postponed next month's elections, however, indefinitely, leading to caution among demonstrators who say they want to see clear change at the top. Lawmakers in London will vote again on the UK's withdrawal agreement with the European Union. A deal tweaked in a late-night meeting on Monday. Amendments added to give clarity to the backstop issue. It also came with a warning that the current deal is the only one on offer.